Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
I'm your co-host, Austin.
And I'm your guest host, Matthew.
1 second, the wife is yelling, yes?
Do you unmute the mics?
I did. What are you bellowing about? She says, never mind.
Gotcha.
Oh, man,
So,
what a great start.
I guess since Matt is the guest, he takes all the italicized stuff?
Yes, he should.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. We already introduced ourselves. Sorry, my wife distracted me. She said something and then said, never mind. Story of my life. We got a special guest with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matthew,
Matt.
for joining us today.
Glad to be here again.
You can take the italicized part there so we can move forward.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
We want to thank you guys for joining us today here at Crit Academy Studios, where everything's made up and your roles don't matter.
Yep, that's right. Your roles are like a game of Destiny without a weapon.
Yeah, which honestly, after I wrote that, I realized there are some classes that, I think you can just use like powers and punches, can't you? The Titan or
Pretty
whatever.
much.
So that was horribly thought out by me. I'm really
Destiny too. You can be a lightning Super Saiyan and you just see a dude running around cloaked in lightning and you're just like, I don't want near that guy.
That's dope.
He will punch me and it will hurt.
Very, very excited for our main topic today. We're going to be discussing the fantastic world of Dungeons and Destiny. If you don't know, Destiny is a first-person shooter on the PC and several of the consoles that's created by Bungie. It's gone through some rocky stuff, but overall, it's a pretty great game. And
Still is, yeah.
there are this entire collection is a conversion, I guess you could say, of 5th edition of Destiny into 5th edition rule sets. But before all that, I want to welcome everyone to the new year. This is our first episode of 2021. Here's to hoping that it goes a little better. There's been a lot of huge changes. Not only for our show, you can see I've been working on this. I've got some cool stuff back here. It's going to get better as we go, but the big thing I want to talk about is our Patreon. Every year we reevaluate our Patreon and try to do bigger, better things. We have significantly overhauled giving all of our patrons even more things, as if we didn't give a lot as it is. So I want to do just a few minutes talking about some of the big changes because they are significant. One of the big ones are we now have a master archive, so if you become a patron, you no longer need to navigate the complexity that is scrolling through hours and hours and hours of text. On Patreon, everything is in one single file. You click it, it takes you right to where you want to go. We are now going to be doing an Ask Me Anything monthly stream, so people will be able to join, submit questions, and ask us anything that they want to hear us discuss. For our patrons, the other big announcement is our Unearthed Tips and Tricks book is now going to be a monthly magazine. We've released September's and we have October's, November's, and December's or be released this month that are going through editing right now. So I'm really excited for that. That really is one of the big things. We've now added virtual tokens and one of our new tiers. One of our new tiers will allow you can become a patron and one of us will run a D&D campaign for you and up to 4 of your friends. And I think that's a big one because there's some people that just struggle to get a dungeon master. So being able to sit and play with your friends has some appeal to it. So we'll see how that goes. But there's a lot more of the content for our Patreon this year. Like I said, a lot of changes. So please, if you like supporting the show, head on over to patreon.com/critacademy and check out all the further details. Now that all the house cleaning is up and out of the way.
Right. Been a couple of weeks, so we got to do that a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've changed up the order of the show a little bit. Instead of starting off with a Let's Talk About Blank, we're going to end with it. Instead, we're going to get right into the meat and potatoes. But we'd like to start off on a high note. So what Crit Academy wouldn't be Crit Academy if we didn't what? Give away fat loot. Damn right.
Absolutely. And our first giveaway, actually, is from Loresmith, the modular dungeon tile sets, specifically the Arcania set. Now, the Arcania digital tile set lets you make dark, shadowy dungeon maps rich with the fumes of arcane secrets. Hopefully, let's tie it to Destiny, I guess. In one wall, maybe there's a cool little ghost that you can scavenge, and it gives you a little boost to XP. On the other hand, maybe it's just more thrall or some taken. Not ideal.
Yeah, neither is a good idea.
Neither's good. And our winner today is KM Pags.
Congratulations. Woo! Ooh, 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 ooh. All that jazz. So I realize my cheering program is a little too loud, or a little too long. I'll have to shorten that up a little bit to a few seconds. If you didn't win, have no fear. You can head on over to critacademy.com/Loresmith and get a free set of digital terrain, as well as some other one-page adventures and some other fat loots that Loresmith offers. Please consider checking out some of his other content. His Remarkable series is just awesome. It's almost remarkable. Now on to the main topic. Hey, Matt, would you like to put on your best role-playing voice and open us up with that that opening line text from the book?
Of course. Lycos sits atop the tower, listlessly staring into the void just beyond the reach of the city's walls. The traveler hangs in the sky, stoic, vast, dormant. The irony is heavy upon his chest as he wonders if, truly, this was all due to fate, or if it was perhaps a simple roll of the dice. See what you did there.
That's fantastic. So as I said before, Dungeons and Destiny, or D&Destiny, is a free tabletop role-playing game based off the 5th edition core rules. What started out as a person's desire to possess a pet Cabal war beast in 5th edition game has grown into a project spanning multiple writers, multiple artists, and game masters, all with the intent on delivering a fun and exciting Destiny gun-toting experience in the tabletop setting. There's a lot of content in this. Now,
Yes.
uh,
Wow. Is there?
Okay, it's worth mentioning that they made a player's handbook, they made a bestiary, and they basically made the architect's guide, if you will.
mhm.
And I read through the player's handbook, if you will, and that thing is 196 pages long.
Now, keep in
So
mind,
there's-
to make that even better, the part we got for free because we're not patrons has no images in it. So I can only imagine how amazing and how long the other one is once they've added images. That's a lot of text. Now, this is all done by the love of players. So there is a Patreon support, which, as far as I've read, is fully got Bungie's support on this, which I think is fantastic to have the creators of the Destiny game pushing the support of this.
It's not like it hurts them.
Right. You can pick, if you head on over to critacademy.com/post/episode 202, you'll be able to quickly get the links to all the stuff that we talk about in our show, including the links to Dungeons and Destiny. So we obviously can't cover everything in the show. We can't. There's too much.
No.
So we chose to focus on the player's guide only, and only then pick a few things out that really tickled our dice, things that we really want to talk about, for whether it's a flavor aspect or a mechanical aspect. So we're going to go through those. Keep in mind there's a massive list of that are beyond what we're going to, the scope of our episode. So we are going to open up, as with any D&D game, with the core races, and everyone has kind of picked one they wanted to talk about. So we'll go ahead and start with Austin. Austin, do you want to tell us about, pick up that little sentence there about the flavor of the races, and then tell us about what you chose?
I think he froze.
I think we lost him.
Oh no.
That's okay. I'll take it, and then we'll have it come. Oh no! I'll go ahead and take it from here, and we'll have him come back. So, the races. The universe of Destiny presents a vast and deep setting crowded with characters of many races and cultures. Its varied locations host all kinds of people. Among the survivors of humanity and the numerous alien races that have come to occupy the Sol system. Now, the reason we asked Matt to join, because he's a big Destiny fan. So, Matt, would you like
Yeah.
to tell us about who you picked and why?
I chose the human race mostly because the other two main races were already taken. I'm looking at you, Ian.
I'm not apologizing.
Especially with my favorite, the Exo, which Ian will cover later on. So I was left with the human race. Once I get over here.
I guess this is the part where I leave out. I almost picked human over XO.
Anyway, so I chose. I was given no other choice with humans, but why not start with humans being the most common humanoid species in a post-apocalyptic game?
That's a good start, I would say. So, is it just the flavor, or is there any particular mechanics that you really like about the human option?
I guess what really speaks out to me is the adrenaline rush feature on the human traits.
Okay, what's that?
If you take damage, that would reduce you to half your hit points or less, but leaves you with at least one hit point remaining. You can use your reaction to begin an adrenaline rush. For the next minute, the following benefits apply. You ignore the effects of the first 3, count them, 3 levels of exhaustion, and you cannot accumulate any additional levels of exhaustion.
Yeah.
Additionally, you have advantage on strength saving throws and strength athletics checks as you are having this rush.
Okay,
The rush of
that's pretty cool.
yeah,
Oh, wait, there's more.
There's more.
2 more. The rush of adrenaline allows you to ignore small portions of damage you take. Whenever you take damage, you reduce the damage you take by an equal amount to 1d10 plus your Constitution modifier. If the amount that would be reduced is 0 or less, this does nothing instead. If you take, here's the last bit.
Yeah.
If you take damage that would reduce you to 0 hit points or less, you can just choose to drop to 1 hit point instead. You can only do this once during your adrenaline rush.
That sounds a lot like a half-orc trait, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I love that.
Combined with a little bit of a barbarian rage, a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I like that. So, to me, this is pretty dope because you can see that they've changed it significantly from what the normal human traits are. And it almost makes it more appealing than it was before, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which is actually why I picked it, because I was expecting a regular 5e human. I'm like, nope, they added on a few more things.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. There's different origins, too, that come with it, it seems. That give you a few additional roles, like either the Citizen, the Pilgrim, or the Wayfarer. I think that's pretty cool. The Pilgrim gives you the lucky feature that the Halfling has. So,
Yep.
That's really cool. That is not just 5e. That is taking rules that already exist and meshing them to get something new. And I'm a huge fan of that. So, Ian, which one did you pick?
I ended up picking the Exo. And short version, what these are constructs that is a lost technology which basically take a human consciousness and transfer them into a mechanical body, in a nutshell.
Sorry.
Yeah. And in many of them, since the technology is lost, you can't make any more of them, and those that are still alive are either really old, or those that are basically rebooted to be a ghost, which is what the main characters are, played by the human characters. So
That's pretty
anything
cool.
else?
Interesting fact about the Exos, their birthplace was recently discovered with a recent expansion.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are those the ones that were made out of like a robot? They look like a robot? Okay.
Yeah.
But they're still effectively human minds, though. So
Right, but they got
The only
like
di-
a robotic form-ish.
now the catch though was during the transfer process, they may have had like their minds and memories fragmented, and sometimes it gets even more fragmented when they have their minds rebooted, if you will, to help stabilize them. But
Yeah,
Okay.
in fact, a good
They have a
example a good example of this is that there is an NPC in both Destiny games named Banshee 44, which means he's been through 44 transfers of his mind to a different body each time he one died.
I thought they were resets, not when the amount of times they died.
Oh, right.
Going
yeah.
back, yeah.
Unless you're Kate 6.
But yeah. Well, anyway.
No, so that's some good stuff.
It's like being constructs. They have dark vision. They don't have to eat. They don't get sick. They have resistance against poison. They don't have to sleep. And they also come in 3 different models. One basically like gives you additional health. All 3 models have natural armor. One, they calculate the natural armor differently. More dexterous one gets like bonuses to their saving throws, and the scout model, if you will, has a boosted perception and can reroll a miss attack. What's for rest? So
that's pretty cool.
So they'll bring something to the table.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the point of all of these, right? They're all so different, and the lore that comes with, they're jam packed with lore. I mean, Bungie did a great job in this. The D&Destiny team did a good job importing it into this PDF.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Austin's having some problems, so I'll go ahead and just talk about the Awoken that he chose, which I think is pretty cool. These are basically a neo-human subspecies born during the collapse. Matthew, what is the collapse?
The collapse is the apocalyptic event that brought humanity into a new dark age. The cause of that, the darkness, the big bad evil paracausal beings.
That's the place where you can actually die, right? Like in the darkness, in the game wise, anyway.
Yes, that is the source.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. And so they were actually
not really.
Well, no, I meant it's cool that they didn't exist before that, and it brought apart a new species, which I think is cool.
No one knows how the people who became Awoken survived being where they started the civilization, which is a portion of the asteroid belt in our solar system that they call the Reef.
Man, I knew it was a good idea to bring you down. Yep. So let's talk. I want to talk about some of these features. Aside from the fact that your ability score increases by 2 of any one you want, and then another one by 1 is pretty cool. I like the versatility there. I think that's similar to some of the options in the new Tasha's. Is that correct?
Sort of. And actually, most races have that option too in this document too. We're just not going to cover all of them.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that. So here they have a pretty interesting. I would say this is more of a role play feature than anything else. It says always way home. You are always at least vaguely aware of Marasav, the Awakened Queen. So long as you both you and she are on the same plane of existence. Even when lost, you can use this sense to direct yourself or a vehicle you are operating along a straight path towards her. Now that's mostly roleplay, but that is some cool ass roleplay. You always know exactly which direction your queen is. That is pretty effing cool if you ask me.
Hey!
But that's just...
He's back.
Hey, we got you back.
Get me by a little bit. I'm going to try my best here.
That's all
what
you
happened?
can do. We don't care during the show. His internet went out. That's enough.
Yeah.
Welcome back. So we're actually talking about your Awoken right now. If you would like to comment on it, why you picked it, and in particular, we talked about the history a little bit and the way home.
Yeah. So I chose the Awoken because that's actually what I play in Destiny, and I thought, oh, these guys are kind of cool.
Fair enough.
And I mean, they're kind of like that weird, like, I think what they kind of are is they're basically like a race of humans that are just like been like touched by the darkness, I guess, right? I think that's what they essentially are. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's cool and edgy. Yeah, so I'll just choose that one.
Yeah. I really like the
An element.
Go ahead.
An element. I gotta pick the EXO too because during like the 1 week I played the original Destiny when it first came out. That's what the race I played as. So
Yeah, and that's my main character too.
Did anybody play anything? I like that. I mean, I played the EXO and that was it. So I didn't get very far.
There's no racial difference in
I-
the actual game.
Right.
It's just
Yeah, there's-
cosmetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
look cool as hell. The one thing I really like about this is they got pyrokinesis. You have the ability to move or manipulate objects by thought as an action. You can exert your will. Oh, psychokinesis. That makes more sense about moving
Sorry,
objects.
that's something completely different.
It's basically the
Mage hand.
mage hand cantrip. Thank you.
Hmm.
I didn't see anything outside of that other than letting you manipulate small tools.
Yeah.
But the fact that they just get access to that is pretty cool. And it doesn't say anything about a mage hand, so it's invisible, right? It's just them moving stuff around.
Yeah.
Yep.
They
Which
also
is
go ahead.
pretty sick. No, I was just saying that's pretty sick, and I do like how they have like the two like I guess sub races, which is the Earthborn and Reefborn, which is very cool stuff as well.
Ooh.
Separates from your point of origin, I suppose.
Right. Earthborn or reefborn. What's a reef?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Besides like a place
So
where
it-
there's plants.
Section of space where they come from.
Yeah, it's what I mentioned
Yeah.
Oh,
earlier.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's really cool. So now we've talked a little bit about the races. As you can tell, they're very different than what's in the player's handbook. I would almost argue that they did a really good job balancing all the races in this and giving them a little bit of a bump. Honestly, they seem like they've got a little bit more going for them than the more traditional races. Is that just me?
I think they do too.
And the ones we
Yeah.
didn't cover are the Cabal, I'm not gonna even try to pronounce that one. The Krill, the Scion, the Vex, and all PCs are awoken, so
Yeah.
which means they die before brought back, basically.
Yeah, which is really a big
Mhm.
core of the game. So,
Yeah.
so the next thing we want to talk about is the classes.
Oh.
So there is some. If you don't know,
Quite a few.
the Risen are extraordinary people. They are warriors of the light, soldiers brought back from the dead by the power of the Traveler. Their only purpose is to fight. That's a kind of shitty life if you ask me, but hey, whatever. Their only objective is to win. Well, that's usually what happens when you fight. You don't want to lose. So, to this end, the Traveler granted this army of chosen dead exceptional endurance, strength, and agility, and gave them greatest gift of all, the power of light. The paracausal force against which darkness shall surely break. And your class is the primary definition of what your Risen can do. Now, more than that, though, it sets the skills and shapes the way the character approaches the world in and out of combat. There is some really dope ass classes in here, and they did some really good stuff with it. Ian, would you like to tell us about the Striker Juggernaut first?
Sure. I once again picked the class that I played during the time I played, and the base class for this is the Striker, which ties into the Titan super class. But the Juggernaut is like the subclass I picked, and the Striker basically is like the guy that gets up close and down and dirty and actually punches guys in melee. And I do mean punch, and they hit like trucks.
With blue lightning.
More lightning. Is it
With
real
more-
light? Real
And they
lightning.
basically have like,
Yeah.
and the Juggernaut, and they also set like force fields that they can see that move with them and stuff. So, but the
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean,
What page is that on?
which is like it is on page. Tell me, come on, 63.
Thank you. The search
Where the
function in this
Striker
PDF
is.
doesn't work as far as I can tell.
No,
All right.
yeah, look the Striker by default basically gets like the Brawler trait, which allows you to use your Strength or Dexterity mod, and you're also getting lightning reflexes, which gives you advantage for your Dexterity saves.
Smash
Yeah.
everything to defend by preemptive attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very brutish character,
Yep.
it seems.
Yep, your level 2 ability, Storm Fist.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit somebody, you basically deal 2d10 plus your con score.
Wow,
You only spend the ability if you hit.
that's cool.
Yep.
There's a lot of
And-
good stuff in here, I think. So the core of it is it's a brutish lightning fist guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
with some
And
shields.
that's
The
exactly
Juggernaut.
how it plays.
Yeah.
It's
The
exact-
Juggernaut basically gets like an upgrade to the punch ability, and it's an ongoing effect. And when you activate your shockwave, basically, what's it called? Fist of Havoc.
Mm.
Your base speed increases by 10 feet. You basically can regain your melee ability at the start of each of your turn. You resist arc, bludgeoning, kinetic, piercing, and slashing damage.
Rage.
Pretty, yeah, on top of what the humans can do.
Right.
And you do an area damage of 48 plus your con score, which gets stronger as you level up, plus your lit score, 3rd level. Yeah.
How many
When you hit
times can you use that? The shockwave.
The shockwave is a recharge ability, which recharges on the 18 on a D20. So
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's different. That's cool.
yeah, but the effect though is ongoing, which you concentrate on for a minute.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yep. Level 3, when you hit something with your Storm Fist, you gain an overshield that lasts for a minute. So,
This
yeah, 6th level, when you use your reckless engagement, you gain advantage against being charmed or frightened.
Oh.
Movable stance at level 11, you can use your reaction and go, you don't move me. You don't knock me prone.
Way of the Fist sounds like
And-
some monk stuff.
And yeah, level 15 with the fists, you basically hold yourself in constant readiness. Every charge value of your Fist of Havoc is reduced by 1, so it recharges on a 17 or above. And you don't ever lose concentration on Fist of Havoc as a result of taking damage. Yeah,
Overall. Very cool. So what do you guys think about this?
This is crazy. It's about what I expect from the Striker Titans.
Yeah.
Especially the Juggernaut.
I mean, it's exactly what I want if I'm going for something like that. I just want to be able to hit stuff real hard.
Beat it.
Yeah. I want to be able to kill it, and I want to be able to make it just not kill me, and it does both of those very well.
Can we talk a second about the shields?
Yeah.
Are those
Should.
like are those
That's a very core mechanic.
Yeah, so that's like temporary hit points, right?
Effectively, yes.
Essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but they can generate them basically every. How often does that recharge?
It depends.
Like
Like there are some abilities that allow you to roll to recharge them.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's different depending on the class then.
Yeah.
Okay.
To a degree, yeah.
Very cool. All right. Matthew, would you like to tell us about the Stormcaller, the Master of Lightning?
Yes.
And we're gonna try. We got a lot of content, so we need to shorten it down. So pick maybe the core ability and one or two that you really like, and we'll go through that.
That's what I tried to do.
Yeah, it's
the main
hard.
ability. Yeah, the main ability for the Stormcaller is known as Storm Trance. You're basically being a floating Palpatine on everything with arc lightning.
Kinda,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Pretty much. And let's see. Trying to look for some stuff.
What page is that on?
109.
Thank
You're
you.
there.
Yeah, the Control F feature not working in this PDF is driving me bonkers.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah, that's
slow for
actually
me.
why I used the Google Doc version.
Hmm.
And also why I downloaded it as the open text document version as well, too.
Gotcha.
So
All right, so what do you got there for us, Matthew?
So what I have here is Channel the Storm. As an action, you can channel the wild lightning of the summoned arc storm through your own body into your hands, with your unshakable will and shaping it with your light. The channel light dances from your fingertips in a 15-foot cone. All creatures in the cone must make a con save against your light save DC at a bonus DC to your equal to your light level. They take 4d8 plus your wisdom modifier plus your light level in arc damage on a failed save, half as much on a success.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it
Here's
kind of
my-
reminds me of the fiery hand thing, except it's lightning.
Burning Hands?
That's the one.
Yep.
That's what kind of
Pretty
what that.
closely-
So how is that got a recharge on it?
Yes, this is the super ability.
Okay. Storm
The-
Trance. That's so cool.
Yes.
That is really cool.
And here's my personal favorite of of the Storm Trance from Destinies 1 and 2, the Ionic Blink, a level 11 ability.
Ooh.
Your mastery of the lightning has deepened, and the path of the Stormcaller widens to reveal new ways to channel the storm. While concentrated on your Storm Trance, you can use a bonus action to teleport to an unoccupied space that you can see within 15 feet, carrying all carried and worn equipment of your choice with you when you do this.
That's dope.
Yeah, there was I believe this was back in Destiny 1. I was in the game's PvP section.
Uh-huh.
I used this Ionic Blink feature, and I was just going
Bouncing around
everywhere.
a lot. That's cool.
Yes.
I've always been a fan of those. Like when I played 4th edition, I really liked the sword mage because I could build a literal teleportation character that just went everywhere. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's
Especially
always
make
fun to
it
do stuff
a
like that.
ladrin.
Yeah. Overall, I actually thought this was a really interesting class. We haven't talked a bunch about it, but it's worth noting that you're also using guns and shit in this game. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that shortly. But I think that that's interesting because the very first character we covered was one of the few non-gun users.
Right. It's the man with the hands.
So this is pretty cool. Did anybody have anything
Right.
else about the Stormcaller they wanted to talk about before we move on?
Not particularly.
Yep.
You covered like the
Man's
the
from
good
me
parts of
established
it.
the floating Palpatine.
The floating
Which is
Palpatine.
exactly what it is.
All right, Austin, which one did you pick?
I chose the Voidwalker here because it's actually what I do play, and I chose the one that isn't as good in the game. However, I love this one way more, and it is the Harbinger of Chaos. Now, normally when you have the Nova Bomb, you just kind of throw like a Spirit Bomb made of dark energy, and it kind of kills everything. The Harbinger of Chaos doesn't do that. Instead, you get a different super ability, which is called Nova Warp. So just kind of like the Stormcaller, actually. I want to read the description because it's actually it portrays a very good idea of what it does.
Okay.
You draw an intense concentration of void light into your body, charging every atom of your being with roiling explosive power. While concentrating on this super ability, the following effects apply. Your base walking speed increases by 10 feet. You hover 1 foot above hard surfaces and still water, and you have resistance to bludgeoning, kinetic, piercing, slashing, and void damage. You cannot hold any other weapons or objects in your hands, and any weapons or objects you are holding when you use to cast this super ability are immediately dropped. Because you are literally like brimming with this black purple energy, and you're just so powerful that you no longer need to walk anymore. And you get to blink, although I don't think it actually says you can at right now. I think that's later on.
It's a higher level feature.
Yeah. But we get to talk about the Void Eruption here, and this is as an action on your turn, you can unleash an eruption of void energy all around you. Every creature within 10 feet of you, other than yourself, must make a dexterity saving throw against your light save DC. Add a bonus to your DC equal to your light level. And on a failed save, they take 3d8 plus your intelligence modifier plus your light level explosive void damage. On a success, they take half as much. And it says you can concentrate it up for a minute. So
What
anything around you.
we've mentioned this a couple times. Does anybody want to say exactly what light levels are?
It's basically your caster level.
Hold on.
Kind
Pretty
of,
much.
yeah.
Pretty much.
It's
Okay.
essentially your caster level.
Okay.
But of
Really?
course, in like
Actually, it might be more accurate to say it's your caster proficiency score. Maybe a better way to explain it.
Which is based on your level, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very cool.
You also get to just kind of explode stuff. I'm pretty sure
You
just
did.
by hitting it with a melee attack. As long as it gets hit with something, it will explode from your void energy. So that's also pretty fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
A lot of kaboom.
A lot of kaboom, a lot of warping around and exploding things,
Yeah.
which was definitely the fun part. And they
Eh.
also get some weird warlocky looking stuff, honestly.
That's a
in
technical
Marks
term.
of the Void. Technical term.
Oh
yes.
yeah, I guess it does. Marks of the Void does kind of look like Invocations,
It looks a
doesn't it?
lot like Invocations, yeah. So
Yeah.
it is kind of cool to look through that as well. But that's
Yep.
neither
far-
here nor there. That's
There's a
beyond that.
lot. So
And the way that actually classes work in this is kind of interesting because you basically have like 3 super classes: Hunter, Titan, and Warlock, and those split off into 3 classes, if you will.
mhm.
And each one of those classes kind of split off into their own archetypes too. So yeah, there's a chain here.
It's very
a
cool.
whole
that was one of the big things that I thought that they did differently that I thought was pretty cool. You get this kind of spider web of options, which is
Pyramid.
whatever. I'm thinking when I think spider web, I'm thinking like the web shooter coming out and it makes a little spray. All right.
right.
Anyways, so there's lots of great stuff in here. The thing that hey, you got your internet back. Welcome back. The one thing I want to talk about a lot is pets aren't too much of a thing in D&D, but in Dungeons and Destinies,
No.
you have allies called ghosts. Not even the ghosts themselves know how the traveler made them, but every ghost innately knows why. To find and resurrect those capable of wielding the traveler's light. Each ghost instinctively seeks a single individual out of the countless dead, which there's a lot of scattered throughout the solar system,
Yeah.
right? And each searches searches for the person's remains until they're found and revived. Now, they're very specific, and that to me is important because that means as you decide and develop this, you get to decide on the relationship between the two and their personalities. So what's cool about the ghosts in this is they are almost like tiny little extra characters. You can get different shells for them. They level up and get different features. Most of the time they're used for like hacking and gaining access to knowledge and stuff, as far as I can tell. I think this is a very interesting and very cool addition to the character classes because you get, I would say, I would let the players even roleplay these, and each person gets almost the ability to roleplay 2 characters at once, which is something I think is really, really cool. What do you guys think about the ghost? And is there anything particular you want to cover about him?
I guess I
I'm
can
gonna
go.
be.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, I think we're kind of understanding what these things are because they really do a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're basically they're a sentient secondary characters we firmly established. They're basically your bag of holding. They keep all your stuff. They're your backpack. In an interdimension, they can shift into their own pocket dimension, if you will, too, so they can stay out of harm, which is kind of important because
Right.
and they also heal you when you die. They're the guys that kind of like absorb your body, rebuild it, and spit it back out. So yeah, don't let these things
As
die.
long as you're not in a darkness zone.
Right.
The technicalities, right?
Yeah. But yeah, they're basically your own like personal support. Like
Yeah.
there's really
Yeah.
no way around it. Like they do quite literally all the quality of life things adventurers wish they could have.
Right.
Yeah.
Even coming down to heal you. That's where the
Yeah.
the core, I think, of their power is they're able to use the light to heal your injuries and revive you from almost any death. In fact, if I recall, somewhere in this document I read that it talks about since death is only temporary for you most of the time, you can use that for planning. Well, you need to get to the bottom of that chasm really, really quickly. Most people would have to climb or find a way down. You literally could just drop off the edge, splat, and then have your ghost resurrect you at the bottom.
Isn't that what
Yeah.
K6 did?
Yes. It's very much it in my opinion, because of your ghosts, this and being able to bring you back to life, it brings a whole new set of circumstances that the players can leverage. Now, I also feel like that makes it harder for the DM too, because you have to be like, go ahead.
It is worth mentioning they can only do it so many times per day, though, so you don't want to lean on too much. And your ghosts do have stats. they can be killed too. So
What a horrible inconvenience. I can only die 3 times a day.
Yeah. When you're
Oh,
already
rather-
fairly difficult to kill as is. So
Um,
let's be honest here.
So anyways, these have a lot of different benefits, and they do get to carry you can swap equipment and stuff with them, and they get different shells that give them different features and appearances and stuff that I just think is really, really cool. And once again, we don't have enough time to go into all the different details,
No, there's no way.
but it really is cool to be able to kind of play both of those. Because to me, it's like having a wizard's familiar, but the familiar has all the knowledge and not the wizard, and it just shares it with it. It shares the knowledge with the wizard. It's kind of what I'm
Pretty
thinking of.
much.
Did I hit on that?
Your ghost. How come? Well, mine is like Tyrion Lannister. Just saying.
So
It gets it.
I missed it.
Peter Dink.
Dinklage's
Peter
voiced the ghost originally, but then they replaced his lines by Nolan North around an expansion update. So
Pretty much.
So beyond the ghosts, another thing that I thought that they did really, really well was the foundations. Matt, can you tell us a little bit about the foundations and what they are?
Give me a sec. I'm.
Oh no, my knowledge guru.
I hardly know about these factions. Darn it. Okay, here we are.
yes, you do.
If only there was a show notes segment with a little section you can read.
Oh. Why am I? Oh,
Burned.
sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, folks. I've hardly been on the show with these
That's
guys.
okay.
That's okay. We forget stuff all the time.
It's true.
So
Sometimes our internet goes out.
Yeah, right there. For sure. Why don't you tell us about these foundations?
Though your background may be lost to you, remembered only in fragments or not at all, what you do with your second life is entirely yours to decide.